those are the things that we mix into our community. So they come out, they talk, they network. And during those talk, it could be just sharing interest, but also at the same time, hey, what do you do? Oh, I do this. Oh, cool. I think maybe we can work together.
Hey Zouk family, welcome back. Welcome to everyone from Vegas to Hong Kong to Singapore to Malaysia. It's another week talking to someone I would categorize as one of my best friends, Ronn Nicolli. This week we're talking to not just a good friend of ours, but someone who basically spearheaded the co-working movement in Malaysia. Someone who's had a huge influence in the growth of co-working, and someone that a lot of our graduate viewers can learn a lot from with regards to startups. I'm super impressed with what she's achieved. Yvonne, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for the introduction. I think you've given me a lot more credit than I deserve with that introduction.
No, not at all. You're being super modest. I've known you for a long time. Back in the day, we were looking at working spaces being the equivalency of a Regis, where it wasn't very trendy. It definitely wasn't cool. It was you didn't always look at a company that was in, let's say, one of these corporate office structures as necessarily a big scale company. If they didn't have their own building, if they didn't have their own office, maybe people didn't take them as seriously. But you've blown that out the water. You've made not just co-working spaces attractive, but they're very trendy and they're great networking places. They're basic communities, right? That's one of the flows you look at.
Yeah, definitely. I think when we started this, we had the goal of combining lifestyle and community and focused on business success. So not everyone can afford like a big office or a whole floor, like you said. But everyone should deserve a chance of having a good office, a good place to work in, something they are proud to bring their business partners or investors or clients to come to meet. And another point is something that is increasingly important in today's world, that is providing a good workspace for your staff. So gone are the days where you could work in a car park. I don't know if you even know that, but in Malaysia, some offices are like in car parks and all that. But in today's world, we have young people who are really talented, but there's a lot of things they want out of their careers as well. They want to have a nice workspace. They want to be able to be proud of their workspace, to tell friends about their workspace. And some of our members even, mention Common Ground as a workspace in their recruitment advertisement. So that's testament to them having a value from this. Also, the networking and the community really helps, especially when, let's say you're a startup and you have 4 people right now. There's no way you're gonna have like so many talents in your business that you can do everything yourself. But between members, they can collaborate and support each other, learn from each other. We have sharing nights and so on. So I guess that time when we opened in 2017, it was a long time coming. I think people were looking for that option.
Yeah, I'm super impressed. I went to visit a few of your sites, nearly utilized it ourselves, and you've got amazing cafe, you've got amazing meeting space. It feels like going into your front room at home and people are chilling. And I think it's also a phenomenal environment for brainstorming, team building. And I see you do yoga, you do readings, you do CEO talks. Tell us a bit more about the community aspects of the co-working, which when I was growing up or when I first started working, I went to the office, I only saw my colleagues. The contacts you made were in your free time or at events if you were lucky, but you guys are creating a networking possibility for people.
Yeah, so the community is a very huge aspect of what we do in Common Ground. I can tell you honestly, in the beginning when we started with just one outlet and not that many people, it was quite tough. We are inviting people, come share, and people were shy and they were not sure. But as time goes by, we mix in business talks. They get to learn from other industries, which they could also apply in their company. And we have also seen successful collaborations between two members. And one of the bigger success stories when two members combined, one was doing artificial intelligence chatbots, and another company was starting out a back office support company. And when they spoke and they got acquired by this back office company, and now they have a whole floor below us. So that's one of those success stories that we wanted. And how did they meet? It could be during the breakfast that we had. We have Monday Munches, which is breakfast time for members. We have FIFA night. It could be two founders who love, I don't know, football video games. It could be during the wine and paint night. We paint with getting drunk. So those are the things that we mix into our community. So they come out, they talk, they network, and during those talk, it could be just sharing interest, but also at the same time, hey, what do you do? Oh, I do this. Oh, cool. I think maybe we can work together. So that's how it all starts. So community is really, really important for all our members here in Common Ground.
I at the very beginning, Yvonne was super modest about her role, but I know that she spearheaded a lot of this. Very social person, great ideas. Some of your marketing is the best I've seen out of this country. It's phenomenal. Marketing, something that Ron and I talk on a regular basis. You talk about collaboration. Unluckily, we're not blessed with being able to work in the same environment, but Ron's team contributes a lot to what we do. It's always phenomenal when two people or two, as you say, the connection born from two companies, one leading to a takeover another. I thought Ron was like a partner. He had the cool mo going on. He brought the cool look to our creative conversations, and then he shaved it off. And now I don't even know what he brings to the table anymore. Ron, you let me down. I don't know what to say. I'm going public on this. I'm starting a hashtag which we're going to feature in this that is bring back Ron's mo. So aside from that, Ron, how's things in Vegas? What's happening over there?
Vegas is going really well right now. Every week it's recovering, and we're seeing it. I think that we're at a point now where there's a lot of exciting things going on. There's a lot of things we're missing out on. Raiders opened their first home game on Monday night. It was a date that I think if you live in Las Vegas, you've been looking forward to that date for probably 3 years, and people didn't get to really experience it. But when we look around the Strip right now, and we're starting to see the traction, and we're starting to see people coming back to Vegas, super positive. And the thing is, I think, Joe, we've talked about this before. There are certain days and periods of weeks that, because where I'm in an office for such a large period of time, you don't really get to see the world around you improving, and it really is improving. And that's positive. Everything that's going on is leading us back to a point of customer confidence and leading us up into hopefully a very positive parallel as we lead into the Resort World Las Vegas opening next summer. Even walking around the property, I'm excited. Every Friday morning I go for site tours, and it's crazy to see week to week how much progress has been done. And there's certain areas of the property that essentially are at that stage right now where you pretty much could move furniture into them and pretty much start operating them. But obviously there's still construction around them. But it's been an amazing journey during a very, very different time that I hope none of us have to experience again. But it's been super positive.
Yeah.
Going back to what Yvonne was talking about earlier, what's the co-working scene like in America? I mean, it's now booming over here. I'd say that Malaysia was probably a little bit behind other places. I mean, everyone's heard of WeWork for whatever reasons. Common Ground is really stealing the show over here. What's it like in America?
It really is going in the direction now of that ideology. There are certain companies that prior to this would have an independent office, and now you're seeing this shared space, and you're seeing them working in the communal office setting. And it's super positive. And I actually got the chance to tour one a few months ago, like pretty much right before shutdown in the States. And it's really cool the way that things are set up. And again, just hearing you speaking about Common Ground and the activities and the community interaction that you guys have created in the office space is amazing. Because it's like you're saying it, and I envision these people getting together. And because there's that like synergy, all of a sudden there's collaborations and partnerships and acquisitions that are taking place because of that. And there is a reality outside of that world, in seeing someone in a humanized setting, those business deals might not happen. So that's really amazing to hear and pretty inspiring to hear these type of collaborations that are being formed and grown out of Common Ground. So really amazing.
Yvonne, I've been to a couple of your sites, but you go much further than KL, right? Has it expanded all across Malaysia?
Yeah, we've gone into Penang, in Moulmein Rise, and outside of Malaysia, we have 5 in Philippines and 1 in Thailand. So basically, we've gone in the region, you can say that. So yeah, we have 13 in total in Malaysia right now.
And what's the plan for the future?
In the future, well, we do have a few sites that in the past few months have been pretty hot in demand. So we've already managed to get leases negotiated and so on. So in the coming months, you would expect to see a few more new common grounds opening in Kuala Lumpur. We will continue to grow. I do have to add that yes, the MCO happened and that dampened the spirits a little bit for local businesses, especially startups and SMEs. They are a little bit more cautious now. Some of them, unfortunately, could not survive the whole lockdown. That's unfortunate, but what is encouraging though, I do see our occupancy increasing now compared to even before MCO. So that actually is encouraging, and we feel that if we would not probably open this year because we are still under our MCO, so most likely early next year you will see new outlets coming up. But we do have the demand already. Yeah.
I think looking at it in a positive light, the co-working space is perfect for some of those SMEs that have had to downscale. I mean, there isn't a company, apart from maybe some of the really stronghold digital companies, that hasn't had to downscale, sadly, during this time. And so moving into a co-working space and getting hot desks, for instance, is a really sensible move for a lot of these smaller companies, no?
Yeah, for some of them, yes. For many of our prospects, they have decided to work from home. That's a given because they have proven that it can be done. But they still miss that human interaction with their colleagues. And that's one of the things that you would see in a lot of studies that is out there on working from home. You get stressed out, you get lonely, you get distracted. And one of the things that they really miss is the collaborative energy between colleagues when you get to work together. Also interesting to note, we actually have an increase in uptake from corporate companies. They've been told to work from home. They cannot enter their office for safety reasons. So, but they couldn't work from home. Maybe they have dogs or cats or children that would distract them. So they would take up day passes here in Common Ground. So we have something for everyone actually. And even startups, they are being cautious. So they wouldn't want to sign a 2-year lease elsewhere. So they come to Common Ground for the flexible lease, like a month or 3 months, just to get things started. And this is the opportunity time actually for many startups because tech is so prevalent right now. So that's where the opportunity comes in, and we provide that flexibility for these people.
No, that's awesome. And what I would think is also fantastic is that, in essence, let's move it slightly aside from the activities base. That you say working from home, but there's a very home feel to Common Ground. I mean, I came in, you guys were having Nasi Lemak, there's a coffee shop there. It's the kind of place that even if you're not strictly going for work, you can go and hang out and feel comfortable. That kind of replaces the old Starbucks feel of going in and using them for internet, etc., right? So there's a multiple purpose to your facility. And it brings me on to my next conversation. Yvonne, where do you see the movement towards co-living? Because this is a next big vibe that's coming through, right?
Yes, you get a homey feeling, but we've designed Common Ground to be welcoming. So you see a little bit more wood touches and so on, but it still has to be professional. So we do not have bean bags and all that kind of stuff. So it's still professional, it's still welcoming and still comfortable. We have couches for areas where you can have chats and so on, and have coffee and nasi lemak and so on. Does Ron know what is nasi lemak? It's a Malaysian dish, by the way.
Ron came to Resort Spot Genting and we forced him to eat nasi lemak. We forced him to eat rojak. We forced him to eat beef rendang.
Did he have durian though?
I didn't force him to do such a thing. I wouldn't put him through that.
What was the one you chopped up?
Which one? The chop.
He was here for Chinese New Year, so we did the lao san.
That's awesome. That's my favorite. Okay, so moving on to co-living, we do have many people who ask us before, do we want to like expand to the next floor and do co-living and so on? At the moment, we are very focused on co-working. Co-living is a different ball game altogether. I think it will work in Malaysia. We have a lot of young working professionals in KL. They do not want to go through traffic, so co-living in the city is an affordable way to be living near where you work as well as have a lifestyle. But that's something that Common Ground is not looking at the moment because it's like a hotel business already, totally different.
Hey, Ron, do you think your wife will let us co-live in Vegas?
Yeah, I think she'd be open to it. I think we can figure that out. I think we can figure that out.
So, Yvonne, I always take this opportunity. Ron and I understand a lot of graduates watch these shows because Zouk has a strong millennial following, as we know. 30 years in Singapore, 15 years in Malaysia. I really want to pick your brains. I consider you as an expert in this field, irregardless of how modest you may be. What is your advice? Twofold, please. One is looking at startups, because I know you went in at ground zero to Common Ground, and every single outlet that you've opened has basically been its own startup in a way. You've had to go into a blank space, design, build, hire. What would be your advice to people who maybe are in SMEs or even just wanting to start out? It's been a tough time. There is opportunities irregardless. We always say, Ron and I, there is huge opportunities irregardless, but people shouldn't sit at home depressed that the world is coming to an end. What would be your advice to people who want to start out, and what were some great learning curves that you experienced with doing these projects?
Okay. Well, I think one of the rewarding part of this job is when I see like potential startup founders coming to Common Ground to have a look like, okay, I want to start a company, so I'm going to get an office. And then they come in and they sit in the office to have a feel, and then they start that company. They have that look in their face where they are like looking out the window, looking into their future. I think that's one of the rewarding part of my job, to be able to help companies like that be able to realize their potential. But my advice is, if you have an idea and you truly believe that it would improve lives and it would disrupt the current market for the better, then that's what you need to start with. And then moving forward from there, you actually do not need to think about what you need to have first. You need to think about how to make that work first, how to make your idea work first. You don't have to think about having a big office with a lot of frills and trills and so on. Think about how you can work on that with the lowest cost possible. And then after that, you can look at the other things that you need to add on to add some comfort or some benefit to your staff and so on. So that is in terms of workspace. But we have seen many startups here. They have been serious startup founders. Why? Because out of 10 times, maybe you will fail 10 times, but don't give up. That's actually our main advice here. I've seen so many. Some of them come in with one company name. After a while, they fail. And we are like, it's okay, no worries. You can try again. And they will come in again. Don't worry, I'll be in touch with you. I'll come back to you in another year's time with another company. Sure. And true enough, I see that happening again and again. And actually, before Common Ground, I was in Regis, actually. And the people who I have contact with in Regis, they still contact me today, and with a different thing that they are starting up. So I guess when you're a startup founder, you have an idea, it didn't work, it's okay. You can either adapt and make it better to suit what the market needs, or you can pivot and do something else that you think can fit what the current market requirement is. So that's one thing I would say, never give up. A lot of startup founders do not make it on the first try, second try, third try. No, 10 times you might fail. So we even have like chats here that's called Fuck Up Night. And that's how, startup founders can share how they fucked up so that others do not do the same mistake. And we have sharings from MDEC also. They actually help out startups by not just providing money. You don't just write to them and ask for money. They help connect you to the right people. They help give you support. They give you support through Common Ground, because we are a digital hub, and we connect you to corporate so you can test out your technology and so on. So those are little things that we see here. A lot of help is out there. You just need to know how to reach out and get that help. So don't just think like, oh, I'm a startup founder. This is my idea. I don't want anyone to know about it. No, your idea will only work because you are the one who thought it out and you are the only one who can spearhead it to success. If someone else just hear it on surface, it will not be someone who will take your idea from you.
Yeah, that's really solid advice. I think the most important thing that you've said is to not fear failure, because no one is guaranteed success. I mean, Michael Jordan was told not to play basketball, and he became the most successful basketball player of all time. I watched an interview with Doc Rivers, who's the LA Clippers coach, last night, and he explained how he went to the Boston Celtics, who hadn't won, after 16 championships, hadn't won in years. He was almost lost every game in his first season. People wanted him to be sacked. And then he pulled his 3-star players together and taught them how to work as a team and not as individuals. And then they went on to win a trophy in 2008. So you're spot on about failure, spot on about not fearing getting help. I mean, we're super lucky in Zouk. Ronn, once again, he'll be modest about this, but 15 years experience at Las Vegas, which is the mecca of hospitality. No matter how good we think Zouk Genting is, what they've achieved in Vegas is phenomenal. It's like major scale. You can't fail. And so we rely on Ronn and his team on a weekly basis to give us guidance and help, and it's never be scared to ask for advice and help. I mean, Ronn, you're doing a colossal startup. Well, I mean, what you're building in the resort is, millions of square feet in essence. So how can you comment further on what Yvonne just said?
I think there's a big reality in not having fear. I think I tell the team almost every day, because again, we pivot in. Everyone right now is pivoting and working through challenges, and some of those challenges aren't the traditional challenges. There's this overpressing global variable and challenge that we're all experiencing. And again, to do what we do, you have to have confidence. The second you start doubting your ability or start operating with when you start operating with a parachute of I don't want to fail instead of I'm not going to fail, or accepting that a failure does come, that you pivot through that and you revise your strategy. And to your point, you come back, and you see those people come back and try another concept and find success. So, I think that the advice is linear. Fear is out there, but you can't allow the fear to run your life, and you have to be confident in what you're doing to find success.
Yeah, sound advice all around, really, by two people who have been hugely successful. But the amazing thing, and I think you can both relate to this, is no one sees the blood, sweat, and tears in the background. No one understands the things that nearly went wrong when, Resorts World Las Vegas, CommonGround, the Zouk atrium up here. There's been times that I've gone back and I thought, how the hell am I going to do this? And then you just work out a way. There's times when deliveries are late or items are stuck in customs, and you just got to adapt. And not be scared that, yes, things will go wrong, right? So on a personal level, Yvonne, Ron, I always try and get Ron travel advice for Malaysia. I always ask people a few things to recommend. You specifically, I'm going to direct to something I know you are definitely an expert at, which is hiking in Malaysia. Ron likes to hike. Ron has been hiking in Vegas and Los Angeles. I hope to join him one day. But what would you recommend for hiking in Malaysia, Yvonne?
Well, in Malaysia, there's so many hiking trails that would be interesting to you. Well, if you're in Kuala Lumpur, you don't want to go out too far, and you just want a quick hike. This is a cheat hike, right? There's a 20-minute hike that gives you awesome views, like as if you went rock climbing for 10 hours. It's called Bukit Tabor. It's very dangerous, though, I have to tell you. Every time if you hear a helicopter fly past, that could be a rescue mission. But it's called Bukit Tabor. It's a cheat hike because it's only 20 minutes up, but best view in KL. So that's something you should try the next time you're in KL. If you're willing to venture a bit further, there are plenty all around Malaysia. And I think you should try Genting's hike. I heard it was, 6 hours, Joe?
Yeah.
Was it 6 hours because it's a long hike, or was it because you were slow? That's the question.
Well, what Yvonne didn't tell you, Ron, is when she does Bukit Tabor, it takes 3 hours, which is 20-minute hike up and 1 hour, 20 minutes taking photos at the peak, and then the rest of the hike back down. I mean, that's the true story. That's the exclusive I'm giving everyone who's digital here.
I like that.
Genting has been developing some incredible hikes. We went to Bunga Boa, which is a hike that actually follows the route of the late founder who in essence, created what Genting is today. And he hiked from the bottom of Genting all the way up to the peak where the resort is now, and it's a phenomenal story. And we followed in his footsteps during MCO, a very fitting time, the first time the resort's ever been closed in its 55-year history. Very humbling experience and a phenomenal experience. And there's a drone shot, which I'll input here, that shows the view we had at the top, and we could see Kuala Lumpur. But Yvonne is correct, there's some phenomenal hikes in KL. Tabur is just one of them. Broga Hill, there's many, and I think it's probably one of the most popular activities for Malaysians every single weekend. I mean, I think I've been lucky enough in my time with Yvonne, we've done about 8 or 9 around Malaysia, some phenomenal hikes, and to reward yourself at the end with some beef rendang and a coconut is what it's all about.
You have to have coconut at the end of the hike.
That's generally when you spend your time editing your photos, no, Yvonne?
It was, you know how iPhone has this feature where you can put a heart to the photo to review later? Yeah, that's the time you have the coconut and you put the heart on it to review later.
Lastly, Yvonne, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to Ron and I. Really appreciate it. Love success stories and what you said about the fact that not being scared of failure, but really you have been a huge success story. Common Ground has done phenomenally well. Definitely an industry leader. And hopefully in Southeast Asia, now that you're expanding so rapidly. Can't wait to see what 2021 has in store. Can't wait to bring Ron for a coffee when he next comes to Malaysia, which is on the cards whenever travel is allowed.
Yep. We look forward to welcome you both.
And Ron, it's always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend. I mean, I think there is really no excuse for the mustache not to come back by the time that Resorts, if it's not there for the opening night of Resorts World Las Vegas, you've not just let me down, you've not just let the Zouk team down, but you've definitely let yourself down.
I think it'll be there for grand opening. I think it has to be. And then obviously for my next Malaysia trip.
If you do it, I'll do it, and we can rock a Brokeback Mountain look together.
I'll be good for the hikes.
I'll be there with the camera.
Anyway, superb advice. Awesome chat, Yvonne. Congratulations again. Ron, always a pleasure, my friend. Can't wait to speak to you next week. And stay safe, guys. And we'll be through this